Yeah.
Like I could tell what was going on at prejudging, and then I was out there at the finals. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then they're sending security guards after people for taking pictures.
Mm-hmm. It's the point you made already, Paul. I think is that you can't lose track of what made the business successful in the first place. What are people going there to see?
Yeah. Well, after being
at the focus, and then the second point, if I may, he talks about how his primary focus is growth, the growth of the sport at all costs, unchecked. What do we call that? What's unchecked growth? There's a word for that, I think. I think you might want to be a little smarter about how you grow it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, after being at the Arnold and being there, like not only is the Arnold is better in every single way. The show is better. The presentation is better. It's more efficient. The expo's better. Yeah. Every fucking thing about the Arnold is better, and it's cheap. The live stream's free, and they're not going around threatening to kick people's asses for taking pictures.
Yeah,
it's like a thin ice to skate on, to where you bank on your perch at the top of the throne on the fact that the top bodybuilder in the world always wants to do your show, because winning it means. But if that's all you have, especially now that you have those top guys doing the Arnold every year and even doing more shows than just the Arnold, that's if the Olympia loses to, and who, I don't know how it would happen or if it could happen, but if the right things came into place where people decided that whoever won the Arnold was now the best bodybuilder in the world, and that person only did the Arnold, they didn't do the Olympia, that's that's thin ice for the Olympia, because that's what they have, is the Olympia winner is the best bodybuilder in the world. If say Samson added another 20 pounds of muscle and he comes out next year shredded, dominates the Arnold, makes Ronnie 2003 look like a joke, makes Phil Heath 2011 look like a joke, and then he says, I'm not going to do the Olympia, I'm going to focus on the Arnold. Yep. Well, Arnold, Arnold's not dumb. He's going to crank the prize money up on the Arnold the next year. The Olympia, like, they have whatever that agreement is where they argue against that, but Arnold won't care. They'll say, yeah, Olympia winner is getting $5 million next year. Samson's only doing the Olympia. Boom, we're the number one show in the company or in the business now.
Yeah, and I have a hard time believing they don't have a little more money for the prize money. They made plenty of money on that show.
Dude, how much do you think each vendor makes at the Arnold, at each vendor at the expo?
Yeah.
I mean, each, or what they're spending. What did Mutant probably spent over $1 million on their booth.
Oh yeah,
and that's one booth out of hundreds of booths, and and all that money gets funneled down, and the end result of where they're paying it out is basically to that Olympia winner. And when you look at that, I know, like, it's always easy to look at businesses on the outside because expenses are always so much crazier than people would think they are, and profit margins are always slimmer than they think they are, and I'm sure there's more money around.
Well, I'll tell you what, too. I've run many businesses since I was young as well. And you also got to not just keep your customer happy that's spending the money on your product, but also the business partners that are involved with you, which are the athletes that are also giving you feedback saying, we do want these things. Because if you looked in the comment section when Dan was talking, a lot of these athletes are saying the same thing. We want to be seen. We want to look better. We want to present ourselves better. And a good deal is one where everybody benefits at the end, not just the guy on the top. So I think it's a no-brainer. They can do some small things that would make a big difference and make some people happy. The flashing lights, I got no place for that when I got laser pointers going across Hadi's face when I'm trying to look at his separation in his chest or something. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm a camera junkie and video junkie, and I have been my entire life. That is like a video guy's fucking nightmare to have backlighting that is bright and constantly changing because you can't get your settings dialed in, aperture, ISO, all that stuff. You need static light. And then you need the brighter the backlight is, you have to have a higher light coming in from the front to compensate for it for exposure. And what ended up happening is just all the guys look washed out. You couldn't tell. I couldn't tell what they looked like. And then you could see it on the live stream, like they cranked the ISO up down really low on the cameras, and everything was like everybody looked black. Yeah. But that's not how it looked there when you were there. They did that to compensate for the huge, so they wouldn't have blown out exposure for the backlighting.
Well, so I think that these guys have had like the luck kind of with their relationship with the IFBB and everything else, and it's been that way for a long time. But the disruptors are out there. We're talking about Fuad in the chat and how well the Detroit Pro Show was. Arnold is a disruptor. It's like, that can change. You can not be the top dog on the block real easy in today's world in the information age.
And look, I'm not, I love the Olympia. I'm a bodybuilding fan. I mean, I'm like the world's biggest bodybuilding fan. I have been since I was a kid. I've watched every fucking Olympia for the last 30 plus years. I want to see it do well. I want to see it be successful. This is not like coming from a place of hatred. I hope they can take some constructive criticism and actually listen to their clients. When all your clients are saying the same thing, the people that pay thousands, like I probably spent 20 grand going out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's a good thing. Like
Or more with the booth.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, booth. Was it 8,000 for the a 10-foot booth? I mean, the smallest booth. You get a 30-foot booth, you're looking at, you're basically somewhere around $10,000 for every 10 square feet, and that's before you pay athletes to go out there. That's before the product you're bringing out there. That's just travel and booth space. But go back to the growth thing. Like you said, you've been watching the Olympia over 30 years. If you think your business model isn't can't or shouldn't change or is still going to be valid, 30 years ago to find the results of the Olympia winner, you either waited 3 months for Flex Magazine to come out, or you called Gold's Gym in Venice and hoped someone answered at the front desk. Now we watch it live on the internet. I mean, and so that's how much has changed. And so if you're the same business through all that, it's probably not the most efficient.
You remember buying the DVDs, Justin?
Oh yeah.
I used to
with
order
that music with the Joey Mr. I can't the Olympia theme song. It was like a cheesy.
It's terrible.
Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, I remember, and they used to show it like on ESPN2, like months after.
Yeah. With different
Not to
music,
mention every athlete
different commentary.
And every athlete has their own following on social media and their own YouTube channels. It's just a different world.
What was that bodybuilding show that was on ESPN back in the 90s? Do you remember that, Justin?
There was American Muscle Magazine.
Muscle, yeah.
Flex Magazine Workout, Lee Haney's Total Lee workout program. Yeah, I used to have a VCR set for because there'd be like 4:15 in the morning or some terrible time.
Yeah.
So I remember always in high school setting like a VCR to record at some weird time to catch one of those. I still have a Lee Priest one of American Muscle Magazine I put it to digital at one point like 15 years ago. I don't know where it is anymore, but I still have that one.
Amy, you got a fan here. Jay says you inspire him to put more effort into his life.
Love Jay. Jay is one of the guys over at Hormones for Me. He's awesome. He's an amazing researcher.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. Thank you, Jay.
And Mike competed at the Emerald Cup yesterday. Justin, your guy looked great, man.
Yeah, he's Daniel's he's such like he's the best client. Like, I mean, he had to drive like it's supposed to be like a 2 or 3 hour drive. I don't think like 6 hours. There's a bunch of traffic. Like just like people prepping should be listening to this. Anything that could have went wrong as far as like travel or mishaps or not having food ready or food going bad happened to him. And he was like 9 or 10 pounds overweight the night before because of that travel. And so to see it all come together so well for him, I was pumped.
That's who I got to compete against when I get on the stage, Justin. So you got to help me out, man.
All right, I'm easily bought. The right amount of money, I can sabotage you. No, I'm kidding.
Those pictures on their website are all done by this
Whitman. Yeah, he's good. Yeah. He filmed me and Ben Pollock for Hostel like 2019, and I wish I was still with. I mean, I got my own company now, so I can't. But those pictures were the best I've ever looked by, and I wasn't in shape. That dude, he's a magician.
Well, yeah, and so those are pretty enhanced, but even without the enhancements, I mean, he was just peeled, inside out peeled.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good dude, a real hard worker. Like, I mean, one of those guys you almost forget is a client because all he does is check in, and no matter what you tell him to do, he just does it. No complaints, never misses it. even like like something a normal person would be flipping out over. It's like, oh yeah, there's a huge traffic accident, road is blocked, I had to get rerouted, the drive took 3 hours longer, but I'm good, coach. I'm only telling you because I had to miss a check-in. Like if he could have made his check-in, he wouldn't even told me those things were happening. He just gets it done.
Well, I gotta get him on for an interview. I'll have to let him know he's my motivation to come back from this surgery.
He's your carrot.
He's
a
my
good
carrot.
dude.
I'm like, I want to look like that guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I
He'd be
would
good
love to
have
see you guys head to head. That would be great.
I don't know. He looks better than me. I got a long way to go, man. I'm all shriveled up now. I'm down to like 230. What was I? 238 this morning, and
it's worth it. It always starts getting small, but it's worth it when you get big again. Those newbie gains when you get back at it, it's so fun.
I just been on 200 milligrams of tests for like fucking 7-8 months, and my doctor, I'm finally seeing an endocrinologist about my diabetes instead of just treating it myself like a dunderhead. But she prescribed me Mounjaro, and oh my god, dude, I don't want to. I just forgot to eat yesterday. I realized it was like 6 p.m. and I'm like, I haven't eaten today at all.
Just like set some alarms, like set some reminders.
I'm like how do you forget to eat?
Pharmaceuticals.
I mean, like I have zero. It's not like I can eat, but it is definitely after experiencing retatrutide and then now going to the tirzepatide, the appetite suppression on the tirzepatide is significantly more pronounced than it is on the retatrutide.
Is it so bad, like where you have to remind yourself to drink fluids even?
Yeah, like I'm not even drinking, man. Like I was definitely dehydrated yesterday. Yeah, I mean, she we'll see. Like she did a bunch of genetic testing. She said she wanted to find out for my kids, but the primary diagnosis was late onset type 1, is what she said. So yeah,
Which is something I feel like I see so much more than I used to. I feel like I almost never, and I worked in cardiology, and we would hardly, you'd see, IDDM type 1, adult onset, like never. You'd see, insulin dependent people who were type 2 that just like ate themselves into needing insulin, but the actual type 1 adult onset was so rare. But I feel like I see it a lot the last 5 years or so.
yeah. So I should put me on a glucose. Well, Karina set me up with she had some extra glucose monitors, but she prescribed me a glucose monitor. And then I'm on a basal insulin for right now. She didn't want me using Humalog, but when I'm getting back into working out, the Humalog's going to be on deck for sure.
Did you take the jab, Paul?
Yes, but I was diabetic before then. I definitely I've had issues. My
It's
dad
just
and
one of
my
the-
uncle.
It's just one of the things that they blame everything on that now, but it's just one of the things I've heard blamed. Is that
I mean, I
had an affair on my wife because of it.
That's your excuse, Justin.
I didn't pay my bills. It was because of the jab.
3 a.m. What did you call it?
We
3
did a
a.m.
remake of Afro Man Jack because I got jabbed instead of because I got high.
Yeah.
Was it
People
the
don't
3
remember
a.m.?
Afro Man Jack.
Oh no, I remember. Was it the 3 a.m. stripper ass that finally got you, Justin?
Yeah.
remember
But
you talking
it was the jab. I couldn't help it.
Mike, I was happy with how you turned out yesterday. That was a stacked lineup you had competing.
Yeah, I've
against.
never been so proud of a third place finish ever. That was it was a good competition. It was a good show.
I saw the one dude that's always at every show that was there. Like, I'm like, do you compete? Like, he was at North Americans, he was at Masters Nationals with me. I love the guy. He's hilarious. Like, I don't even think he bothers to diet. He just shows up.
No, yeah.
He's a super nice guy.
Super nice guy. I can't remember his name.
Backing up trophies. You get. I mean, do they give a little medal? I mean, some shows you get one for every competitor. You might have a trophy room just filled.
I think you have to place to get the medal. The rest of them are plastic.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he said. I remember him said he worked in TAC or something, and he kind of fell in love with the gym, and he just loves being at the bodybuilding shows and being a part of it. It's just kind of, he said it's his thing. He does. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man.
I'm pretty
I'd
sure
like
his
to be
name
from
is
the audience,
Richard.
but
Yeah, I think so. I would say, but at least do a diet, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm too competitive to go out there and just wing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought things went well with you, Mike. I don't think we could have been any leaner. I think you look like you were the most conditioned guy up there.
I definitely was the most conditioned guy in my division, and probably up there in the top 5, maybe even 3 conditioned in the open. I don't think anybody could beat me in conditioning. It's just it's the same thing that I always run up against. I just don't have enough muscles. Always need more muscle, right? I got outsized by the black guy who shows up with muscles always, and
I can't believe this was you, man.
Jeez.
Yeah, phenomenal
was
job,
me.
man.
Yeah,
different kind of roundness there.
That's what we call full.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a few clients who would say that.
I'm trying to find. Did you have any pictures up from yesterday? It's hard. These are kind of hard to see, but you definitely came a long way.
Yeah, that was a good shot right there.
Yeah, you definitely came a long way. But anyway, I'm proud of you, man. That was. When was the last time you were on stage?
2019, and you won't see a lot of those pictures up. I tried to coach myself, and it was, it was terrible. It went poorly. So
This one's crazy too.
Yeah,
That's wild.
That was like 3 weeks. This picture on the right was, I think, 3 weeks after my first show.
That's wild.
Yeah, and then the giant man boobs.
Oh yeah.
I used to have inverted nipples all my life, and then I lost all the weight, and that changed. Weird thing.
Do you have anybody else in that show, Justin, or was it just
it was an easy weekend for us. I was my only competitor, which for late April, early May it was like vacation weekend.
Yeah, I don't have as many people prepping this year. I got a crew coming to Masters Nationals, like 8 or 9 people, as long as they all make it to the finish line. You know how that goes, though.
Yeah, same. You and I might have the show between us, I think, because I have about the same.
I'm now
at this point.
Have we turned into the Masters prep coaches?
We're of that age, so.
That's funny. It's like 50% of my competitors are Masters guys too. I don't know why. I just must get along with them well.
Here I think it's the thing is like the older guys have disposable income.
Yeah.
They have extra time on their hands, and and it's a lot of times, like a lot of my young competitors that I have, the guys that I have that are like have potential. Some of them are charity cases. They're just like guys that I've taken on that I think have potential to be pro.
Yeah, a good coach is expensive. I mean, it's worth it, but they are expensive. And then life is so expensive right now, especially as a young kid. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just food right now, but as a bodybuilder is crazy expensive. And then in this crazy world that we live in, Masteron's more expensive than Prima Bowling right now.
Yeah.
Well, when the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
I made a
funny.
joke the other day that I could buy a bottle of Test for cheaper than I could get a dozen eggs.
Well, that's an easy choice.
Yeah.
There is definitely a shortage of PEDs right now. The China embargo is affecting the whole community.
They knew it was right after Chinese. A lot of them went away for Chinese New Year and just never came back. It was like they knew it was coming.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be ramping production up domestically here pretty soon, so I wouldn't worry too much about that, guys.
There's
bringing the steroid production home.
Russia is sneaking in too. I've been hearing a lot of clients and people I know are getting DMs from like secret Russian Instagram pages that look like general fitness clothing websites that are not. So I think that's going to be the next push, or one of them.
Well, it's come full circle, man. You remember it used to be everything came out of Russia and Bulgaria and all those Eastern Bloc countries, and then it got all shut down, and then it went to Mexico for a while, and then Thailand, and then now in China. It's just like it keeps rotating. I remember all the cheap Mexican vet vet
Oh,
gear.
God.
What was it? Quality Vet.
T and T4. Yeah.
I think it was Quality Vet, right? Yeah. that
Oh
was
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, before that, before it was kind of like underground, and it was like real like Mexican vet stuff. It used to be like Larabolin at 50 milligrams per ml, which is like sort of like EQ. It would be like legit vet use stuff that you'd have to take like 60 cc's a week to get a proper dose of anything. That was
Has
like
anybody
90.
researched any of these new drugs, like these activin and myostatin antagonists that I hear like Mike Israetel and some other guys talking about?
I hope they pan out, but
I
it's
haven't
hard to
seen it
still get
yet.
excited. It's hard to still get excited about new compounds when like you've been in the sport for 30 years and there's only really been 2 that came out and did anything, and it was GH and insulin. Otherwise it's been the same stuff since the 60s. Really, I hope something comes of it though.
Yeah, all the GLP and GIP agonists though are kind of changing the game.
Yeah. I
Almost
guess I'm
nobody's
thinking more
prepping
like
without it
pure
right now.
like hypertrophy type stuff. But yeah, it's pretty rare. I mean, for the number of things that come out, it's pretty rare how many actually become a permanent mainstay.
Yeah, it seems like we all just kind of go back to the same old test.
Even like because it'll feel
Primo
like,
or EQ.
yeah, it'll
GH.
feel like there's stuff, but if you asked this question 10 years ago, everyone would have been saying CJC is going to be around, ipamorelin, people will be talking about all those things, acting like, oh no, these are in, everyone's going to be using, and they still kind of do, but so many of them just don't stick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some clinical trials going on right now. Regeneron Pharma is testing this myostatin antagonist or activin and myostatin antagonist.
How
And,
specific is it? Because you get heart muscle growth. That's not.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly the way it works, and this is just the way Mike Israetel explained it, was that, in my limited understanding, is it just there's like things that happen in our bodies that sort of regulate our ability to grow. Like we're going to be capped no matter how much gear or mechanical stimulus or food we give the muscle. We're going to be capped at a certain point, but this is supposed to remove the cap, right? So
yeah. I mean, the statins, that's what they do. You take a statin to block cholesterol. Somatostatin would block growth hormone. Myostatin blocks muscle growth. Yes, I mean, if you can inhibit that, that's the gold mine. I'd love if it would pan out, but it feels like it's going to be a long shot because that's a risky one too, because if it's not hyper specific to skeletal muscle, that would be bad.
Well, I think
feel like
AI is designing a lot of this. I know Kurt Havens hates the GLPs and stuff for this reason, but with AI, designing the drugs, the development is like on hyperdrive.
AI is
so many different ones.
I don't think any of us can even begin to grasp what AI is going to do to the world in the next 20 years. I don't use Google as a search engine anymore. I mean, I use AI for everything already. And that wasn't even, I started using it maybe 2 years ago, but even 6 months ago, it was still pretty rare for me to use it. Where now to do a Google ad, it's just straight AI. And which one, like, I know who my market is, and so I'll know when I want to use Grok versus ChatGPT versus, like they give slightly different approaches. But I wouldn't even know how, like I was just updating a search ad we have for the supplements today. And I was just thinking, like, if I had to do this from scratch myself, it would be the time involved would be outrageous, and it'd be so less inefficient because you start with the headlines or targeted keywords. And the AI knows exactly every headline, every description, the perfect order, where you would have to do that with A/B testing and trial and error. It would take months. You get it all wrong and hours of work, where now AI takes like 12 seconds to output it. And then you just got to copy and paste.
Yeah.
I use it for everything.
Yeah.
I've been working on playing around with kind of building my own GPT that does blood work analysis for bodybuilders. Yeah, I've been just in spare time. This is my first attempt at making my own GPT, but to kind of help, I've been, and just you upload blood panels to it, and then it spits out all this. I put in like what's normal for bodybuilders, and how we deal with it. So. I'm just something I'm farting around with. I don't know if there's any way to monetize it or not, or maybe just make my job easier.
Yeah.
I used it to write a little ebook yesterday on why McDoubles are perfect.
That was hilarious. I told Mike to go get some McDonald's before finals, and he asked Chat GPT to write a little ditty about why it was beneficial for finals and bodybuilding, and it was pretty good.
It's bang on, yeah.
It was pretty bang on. Yes,
Yeah, so I'll be publishing that ebook, and I'll list Big Paul as a co-author of the McDouble Protocol.
The McDouble Protocol.
Make a quick buck, yeah.
Inspired by Big Paul, authored by Mike Horner and Chat GPT. Oh man, yeah, it's going to be interesting with the GLP ones, like the next gen ones. They're looking at putting IGF-1 in with them. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Having
I've been dreaming about it for decades.
Dude, having a GLP-1, a GIP, glucagon agonist, and IGF-1 all packaged into one little shot. Holy fuck, sign me up for that one.
Yeah, they already got some of them in motion already. Like they're trying to put them all together right now.
Nice.
It's been the talk of the peptide world.
Oh,
like I said, with the computer aided design, it's so much faster than designing it in the lab.
My neighbor, I'm going to be careful. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he works for a big pharma company, and he's a research director there. Kind of like the liaison between the research people and the marketing department. But anyway, he said that they basically just tell the AI, hey, we wanted to do this. We don't want these side effects. And if something happens, they said, go back and, we wanted to not do this. We wanted to do that. And then it just cranks out molecules. And then they test the molecules. That's fucking crazy. Imagine how quick drug development's going to be now. Like the regulatory process of getting it approved is going to probably be more complex and expensive than the development process.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I think our current leadership would like to see all that change too.
More drugs are better.
I'm curious how they're going to work out dosing though, because the more variables you put into one compound, when you have different needs of different doses, like you might want a higher amount of IGF versus lower GLP. Like, how are they going to make something that's perfect for everybody across the board? You see what I'm saying?
Science, Dave. Science.
Yeah.
I have no
I don't
idea.
think it won't be. You think you'll feed your genetics? You'll feed your genetics into some sort of AI, and your genetics will say, this is how much of this you need and that you need. Within 20 years, we'll be walking around with the physique that we want, and we'll be in our 90s and have all kinds of muscle, which we know means more longevity. So, it could extend life significantly. I mean, like the potential is immense.
I mean, that's a good point. You probably down the road, they'll be able to put your individual genetic profile in and spit you out a custom peptide.
Yeah, at some point, what'll happen is drugs won't be approved. It'll be the AI formulation for a class of drugs that is approved, and then you'll enter your genetics, and it'll output a drug based on that has already gone through whatever the approval parameters are, not for a specific drug, but for like a class of drugs or some, and it'll be. And, like with how powerful AI and fast it is, it seems outrageous, but those will probably be more efficacious and well controlled, because they'll have like essentially an infinite amount of data and analysis on it. But you'll go in and it won't be like, I'm a diabetic and, can I take Humalog? It'll be, I'm a diabetic, and they'll have this AI class of diabetes treatments, and it'll and output it, and you'll have like a customized, protocol. I think.
Or we'll just grow you a
It's
new
coming.
pancreas.
Yeah. I wonder if it'd have some sort of dietary assistance or like suggestions for each person too, because you put the wrong person on with a glucagon and IGF-1. I mean, you could easily go hypo from both of those involved in one shot at the same time. I mean, I see some guys use IGF-1 LR3, and that almost puts some hypo for certain people as well.
Yeah,
and then Paul mentioned with your Retta experiment, using that, to keep your blood sugar in line. You had some bouts with not going, if you stayed under 200 grams of carbs or something, you said you easily could go hypo if you weren't paying.
Yeah, I was going hypo on Retta. I have noticed, this is completely off topic, but I'm 2 weeks in on the tirzepatide, and it doesn't seem to have as potent of an effect on my blood sugar as the Retta did.
Yeah, it should have a better response
I thought that was better.
for hunger.
I don't
Probably not for
Oh.
the glucagon effect. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more appetite suppressive, but like my blood sugar hasn't really changed at all.
I got to
Really,
read up on it more. I thought it was more powerful with blood sugar control than Retta, but it's been a while since I read much.
I don't know. I just maybe it was a dosing thing. Maybe the dose needs to be higher. I don't know.
Well,
She told me
I believe tirzepatide's it's the two factors. You know, it's just GIP and GLP.
yeah,
Or
there's no
Retta's got the
glucagon agonist, but I'm taking metformin, which should have similar effects on glucagon.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
you know,
2.5 is a really low dose of tirzepatide, though. That's like
yeah, that's
you have a lot of
she told
change.
me we'd start with 2.5 and then go up the next week.
Mhm.
The
Hey guys, I gotta pick up a daughter from an exam.
yeah, Justin, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having
Hi,
me.
Justin.
See you later,
guys.
Justin.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's interesting. The prescription they gave me, I'd never seen this applicator before. It comes with this. It's like this giant thing. I should have saved it. I could show you guys, but it's like this big tube, and it's got a unlock button on the top, or unlock. You twist it to unlock it, and you push the button. You hold it up against you, and you see it inside of it. It lowers the needle into you.
Mhm.
Then it injects the solution and then pulls the needle back out. I've never fucking seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of the issues with some of the shortages too. With manufacturing was just that it is a very complicated delivery system with that auto injector.
Yeah, that auto injector is wild. I'm like, I don't need all that. Just give me the fucking bottle on it in an insulin syringe. I'm a pro. Come on, man. That IFBB Pro card means I know how to put a needle in my ass.
Yeah.
I'm
People
an
who are
expert.
uncomfortable with little pricks, Paul.
There are people. Holy fuck! Talking about a needle.
You're not uncomfortable with them, though.
Talk about a needle situation. I have never done this before, man. I didn't wear my glasses, and I take my test shot once a week, and I didn't realize when I was using the little like insulin needle, like the kind of in between insulin and regular needles. I was using them, and I pulled my test out. I thought I pulled my test out, and there was like I guess it was just almost all air in there, and I injected the air,
Ooh,
and
ouch.
like it immediately hit me, like I went lightheaded. And then I had a fucking coughing fit afterwards. I thought, I'm like, shit, am I going to fucking die?
It would take a good
Yikes.
amount of air in your system to be fatal, but yeah, you could have a reaction like that. But you'd have to have
Jesus.
a lot of air.
Jesus Christ. I literally, like started to black out for a second.
You better wear your glasses
You
home.
might have shot a little air into a blood vessel.
Oh, no, that's not 100% what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not cool.
Yeah, because if you
Um,
put air into the muscle, that's not going to be an issue. It's when you get it into the vein or
my daughter was standing there and she was like asking me questions about something completely unrelated. And I was just like, she was asking me, I think she was asking me to take her to the grocery store. And I'm like, hey, if I die or if I pass out, I gave myself a shot with air in it. Let 911 know. And she's like, are you being serious? I'm like, you are going to medical school, so you need to know this. So
How to treat an air embolus.
she has been my post-surgical care. She changed my wound stuff. She's like, this is gross. And I'm like, you're going to medical school, man. I had her put my glucose meter on yesterday because I can't do it with one hand.
There was one thing quickly I wanted to mention about the myostatin inhibitors that I was came to mind. Now, as you get to become a bigger muscle mass over time, your myostatin inhibition raises as well. So that, like, you're starting to get capped more and more as you get bigger. Your body recognizes that you have more muscle mass and it tries to stop that response. I'm just kind of theorizing that a lot of people are not really at the top end of their potential for muscle mass, and that's why we're not seeing like these crazy wild results of people becoming Belgian bulls, just by taking a little follistatin cycle. So I don't know if that's to say that they're not working, or if they're just not everyone needs to be taking follistatin or myostatin inhibitors, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
I would worry about cancer risk. That would be my worry with this guy says he works at Lilly, which makes the Mounjaro, and he said they call that an Irma delivery device. Okay.
But I can imagine someone like, let's say Big Ramy at the top of his genetic potential, even his body's going to pump out some sort of myostatin inhibition to not want to get bigger.
Yeah, I mean, we all have a genetic limit.
Right. He might be the one that would benefit from some of the follistatin administration or whatever.
If you want it to be even bigger, Ramy.
Right.
So yeah, Colin's job is to say the jokes. I'm taking over the joke role today.
Extra big Ramy.
Extra big Ramy. I don't think my jokes are as good though. I'm not quite on Colin's level. Here's the thing. Yeah, so it's got this. It's really fucking crazy. It's got. You take the cap off. You put this thing on your skin, and you untwist it to unlock it, and then you push the button.
It's just one-time weekly dose, and you toss that pen, right?
You toss that pen, and you use it once, which seems to be a waste to me, but
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
Chase or somebody will figure out a way to refill it.
It looks like it just has a cartridge in it with the needle on the end of the cartridge. But yeah, it was interesting. I'd never seen anything like that before.
You know what? I started buying 3 ml pens, injector pens for all my peptides, just like so I can have one with BPC, have one with whatever I'm using. And they're just so much easier. They're dirt cheap, and you can, get 3 mLs of solution in them and just tack out however many units you need. You can use them multiple times.
Here's a better picture. You can see here. And then like the needle's up inside of it. And then you push the button and it lowers it. I just never see anything. It's good for people who are scared of shots.
Where do they suggest you pin it? Does it give you
they said thigh or stomach.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Say Paul, pull it up. What am I pulling up? Paul, I don't know what I'm pulling up. Pull it up. The guy looks insane. He's from Ghana. Which guy is this? Small Andrew Jack. He just won his pro card in Spain. What's his name? I'll look him up. All right. We got some Amy questions in here. Yeah, just let me know who it is, Lucas, or if you want to put it in the chat, I'll pull it up. All right, let's grab some questions.
Sorry, I don't know. I'm like logged out of StreamYard, so I haven't been able to manage questions today.
No, I got it. Let's see. Tata Leona, am I saying that correctly? I'm having gut issues, horrible smelling farts, and 3 times the toilet post 100 milligrams of Tren, post workout for 10 weeks, and Anadrol 50. Well, there's your problem. Vegetables, fruit, glutamine every day throughout. Any ideas what it is? Yeah, I mean, Tren will give you get the Tren shits, and Anadrol is terrible for your stomach too. Those are like the 2 worst PEDs for fucking up your stomach.
Yep.
But also go easy on some of the fruits and veggies. Paul has mentioned a number of times before the low FODMAP approach is really good, especially if you are dealing with gut distress, and especially with like really smelly flatulence. I would go with some low FODMAP foods to see if that kind of helps. Up the glutamine. I would be doing glutamine 3 times a day at least to kind of help heal things. Maybe adding in some licorice tea is really nice as well, and then just laying off the FODMAP veggies.
Yeah, so you got like a dual situation here with the Tren. The Tren, from what I understand, Tren is a very potent androgen, and from what I understand, it stimulates vagal nerve tone, and then you end up with increased acid production and also reflux in the diaphragm. So you end up with acid reflux from the Tren. And a lot of guys end up with gas, bloating, diarrhea from Tren, and then you throw the Anadrol on top of it. Anadrol is like the worst one for your stomach. I have found.
Yeah.
It's gonna affect bile production. It just basically, and anytime you have hepatic stress, your digestion is going to be worse. So I would say if you want to fix your digestion, I would get off the Tren and the Anadrol.
Yeah.
fix the root cause of the issues for the upset stomach. I mean, sometimes like I've had guys, take a proton pump inhibitor with Tren that seems to help a bit with the overstimulation of acid production from the vagal nerve stimulation. Like that seems to help a bit with the Anadrol. You could always take injectable Anadrol, but you're still going to have the hepatic stress from it. But Anadrol is just rough on your gut. The methylated steroid is just terrible in your stomach. From what I've seen guys with ulcers. I think Roman had that. What was it? He completely stopped taking orals because of bleeding stomach ulcers. And I see a lot of pros. You'll see a lot of pros that get advanced in their careers and they just don't even use orals anymore because of stomach issues.
I think some people definitely react different to different oral compounds as well. Like myself, Winstrol can be just as bad as Anadrol, especially kind of.
I think is what did it to Roman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It was Winstrol.
Yeah, you got to take it easy with those. And then, like Amy says, sometimes too much of people sometimes confuse. Like I need more fiber to move, and move me along and get, my digestion in line. But sometimes too much is too much. Fiber for sure. Glutamine, you're right, Amy. I swear by glutamine. I use it all the time. It's soothing for my gut lining, and it apparently heals it as well as time goes on.
Yeah, but you can take way more than most people think. I mean, if you're doing just like 5 grams a day, I'd up it.
I do 20 a serving, so I'll usually 20 in the morning, and then same at night or post training. When my stomach's maybe thrown off a little bit from all the food from the training window.
I know that a lot of the times too, with all side effects, the devil's in the dose, right? So I don't really have any gut side effects on low doses. Like I'm taking 25 milligrams of Tren a day. I don't really have any gut side effects.
No.
Maybe some mild heartburn, but
I get a lot of dudes, a lot of my clients. I'd say it's like 50-50 with the Tren. I get a lot of guys reporting stomach issues. Usually I've noticed the Tren shits go away. I have used a proton pump inhibitor to deal with it. I've been off and on because I've had stomach ulcers and I had a hole burned in my esophagus from acid reflux. But since I have been on just TRT for like the last 6 months, I have been able to completely get off the proton pump inhibitor.
That's good.
Like I don't need
like a terrible class of drugs.
Yeah, no, I know they're horrible for kidney health and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, they're great if you have the need, but other people.
Yeah, it's better than esophageal cancer.
Yeah, or erosion, like getting a pyloric erosion. Yeah.
Well, that's what I had. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they're really good for that.
It did heal back up.
Or if you have H. pylori, I mean, obviously, amazing cure for H. pylori.
Yeah, well, the point I was making about the Tren is at 150 milligrams a week, I have no side effects. At 600.
Oh yeah, definitely doubles on the dose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's this guy that Lucas was talking about. This guy's pro card, the Ghanaian guy. He looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about terrible backlighting.
Yeah.
Look at that backlighting. Good Lord. That's what the Olympia looked like when you're in the audience.
The Olympia's taking notes from the show. You kidding me?
I mean, see how it washes him out. Like you can't tell anything about what's going on.
I don't really find it distracting at all.
No, not at all. I mean, maybe with enough THC, it isn't.
Is it possible to develop epilepsy while you're watching something?
Here's
what
a
did he say?
one.
He was 19 or something? How old is this guy?
Yeah, I think he's just a teenager.
Wow. Yeah, he has beautiful symmetry.
Yeah.
Yeah, conditioning could be a little better.
Yeah.
His upper body needs to catch up to his legs. But yeah, he has beautiful symmetry.
He has really long arms. He doesn't look like he's super tall, but he has really long arms.
I know that problem. That's tough. Yeah, he can be a little drier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got that Sean Roden, pretty shape with the long
Oh, you can't.
quads.
That's just how you're born, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, this guy could do really well if, just a little bit. Well, it depends on what he wants to do. He looks more like a classic guy right now to me.
His waist is so little. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great quads.
but I could definitely see him going to open if he got bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still growing. Shit. I mean, I'm just like this is very nitpicky. I'm not like, I mean, clearly this kid's got elite genetics and a bright future in front of him. I was just saying, I'm looking at it from a coach's perspective. If I
We
were
need
to-
that
I
on a
was-
shirt. Elite genetics and a bright future.
I've seen a lot of guys with elite genetics and bright future. They don't do shit with it. So
Well,
he's got to put in the work.
Now, if he had a coach that got him as conditioned as Paul got me this week, then
When you have great genetics, you don't need to be super conditioned.
oh yeah.
It's the gift of you know, I played basketball when I was younger, and I remember hearing I think it was Coach K, maybe it was John Thompson. I think John Thompson said this. It's like you can't teach tall. and it's the same thing in bodybuilding, man. You just you can't coach genetics. It's just either you have it or you don't.
But that's kind of one of the things I like about it too, though, is you can, to a certain degree, you can overcome some bad.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely can.
And there's
Yeah.
not too many sports where it's like, hey, like realistically, like, you know, I could get a few surgeries and work really hard and maybe get a pro card like at 56 or 57. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but how many professional sports is there that you can do that in? There's not, you know. You can overcome bad genetics. You can overcome 30 years of bad training and figure something out and still, you know, become professional.
Yeah, I mean, it is the ultimate hard work grind. If you can, you're not going to be Mr. Olympia, but yeah, I think most people, unless you're severely, just not, just got the shit in the stick genetic wise, but I would say like probably a large, percentage of people, if they really put the work in, could achieve a physique that would be worthy of competing for a pro card.
And look at what Nick Walker did for.
Yeah. Nick is a shining example. I mean, clearly he had genetics to get huge, but as far as structure goes, like his structure was definitely not what I would consider elite.
Mm.
His myostatin ceiling was high.
Yeah, he definitely has a high myostatin ceiling.
But you're right, Mike. The ability to put in the work to like work on weaknesses is really actually Nick's work, not just growing. It was, at one point you're big enough. Now you need a smaller waist. Well, he managed to do that somehow or another.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah, and I know he just seems to figure it out. I think he surrounds himself with smart people.
He's not
and
shy to work.
And from talking to him a little bit, he seems like an incredibly humble, hard worker. He seems like a sponge. He just soaks things up. He does the work. Doesn't seem like a guy that complains or has drama surrounding him. That's a big part of it too. He seems always chill.
Yeah. Understanding patience too. People never forget. People forget that it's still okay to fail at certain things and try things and fail and learn from it and then pivot and move on to your second attempt at something.
People look at him and they just see him as like an overnight phenom, but I think it took the dude like 8 years to turn pro from the start to the end, something like that. So
yeah, Beef Stew, like I talked to him in Vegas, because he's on the poster for the show I'm training for. And he's like, yeah, it only took me like 8 years to win that show. I didn't realize he was going to that show for 8 years before he won it and went on to get his pro card and everything else. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. That show's a good farm though for pros. I guess there were a lot of pros that came out of that show. I didn't realize how old it was. And it's definitely the largest show in the Pacific Northwest. But I guess at one point it was the largest NPC show in the country for
a
number of years. Yeah. So it's always been a big, well-attended show.
I don't know what the largest that show you did last year was pretty big for a regional show, Dave.
Yeah,
It was one of
New
the
England.
bigger. Yeah, it was one of the bigger regional shows. The Jay Cutler here in Virginia is pretty fucking big too.
Well, when they used to do it not in Boston, they did it in Lynn, about 30 minutes outside of Boston. It's about 3 times the capacity they can hold, and they will fill the whole thing, usually.
That was a rowdy crowd too.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot
In
of fun.
Boston. Some of the national shows, holy shit! Like Mike, if you go to Masters Nationals, it's overwhelming how many people show up for that show. It's crazy. Same thing with North Americans. I mean, I think they said last year at North Americans there were 1,400 competitors at North Americans last year, just competitors.
Yeah, wow.
That's insane.
I think
Like, how many
Masters
of those people
National
did multiple classes? That's crazy.
Yeah. I think Masters Nationals, they said there was about 1,000. I was like number 370 something in bodybuilding.
Wow.
Yeah. No, the super
Well, there
heavies
was
are.
certainly a few hundred yesterday, and I don't even know how many today. But this is like the biggest regional natural show.
Yeah, I had
going on
never
today at the-
seen. I had never seen that big of an over 50 class at a regional show. That was the biggest I've seen. That was pretty crazy. It's nice to be able to get out there and compete with some people.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, let's grab a couple more questions. I got a call, so I'll have to cut it a little short. Let's pull this one off. Let's see, next one here. Nanny Russell, blah 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 blah. I don't know what that is. Rezu Begu. I don't know. Rezu Begu. I can't pronounce it.
Well, at least you didn't make a big deal out of it.
I apologize, Nanny, for botching your name. Nani, maybe. I don't know. Your thoughts?
Keep digging the hole.
I know I'm digging the hole, man. I'm sounding like a real hick here, which I am. Your thoughts on Relaxafine for gyno cure? Never use gear. 15 plus years natural nutrition on point with cardio, weightlifting, lean everywhere except for chest, and I hold a lot of fat. Any advice? This might be one for you, Amy.
I would just do lipo. Like, if it's truly fat and you're natural, there's a surefire way to get rid of that fat. Lipo it off, throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you got to differentiate between, is it gyno or is it fat accumulation? Is it the actual
glandular tissue? Yeah.
And not to say some kids going through puberty tend to get a little bit of gyno for different scenarios of hormonal imbalances.
I had it.
Yeah. I believe I did too. As I learned about it and kind of looked back and I got lean, I think some of the gyno I had was from being younger, my younger years. Before I had anything,
I had
Go ahead, Paul.
No, go ahead, Amy.
Just with hormonal shifts, just like with women, like our breast tissue can swell throughout the month with hormonal fluctuations, and the same thing happens with males going through puberty. As those hormones fluctuate, it can sometimes just swell, but it's not really like growing gyno. It's just kind of the tissues that are there swelling a little, and then as soon as you're going to get past those hormonal fluctuations, it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can grow at that point too, but.
I had a good sized lump after high school. Like, it was the size of a marble under my left nipple. And I got it approved for surgery from a general surgeon, and he completely fucked the surgery up. I mean, just butchered it. And I've had I've had that side redone twice to try to fix it. And then, yeah, anyway, and I was natural at the time. That was not, and I don't know about you guys, but like, Relaxafine, it doesn't seem to be. I know in theory it should be better than tamoxifen, but it just does not seem to address gyno as aggressively as tamoxifen does.
Well, it seems to bring it down and then it comes back up. It never seems to fix.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to get rid of the glandular tissue if that's accumulated. Surgery is the only option for that.
Right.
You might reduce some of the fat, but I'm agreeing with Amy. Just go get lipo.
Mm.
Find out if there's actual glandular tissue in there. Go see a good plastic surgeon. Just be done with it.
Well, make sure you get your labs checked prior, because if you have out of control estrogen, it's going to be a problem even with surgery.
Great point.
Well, and I think that it's one of those things too, where over time, like even the pictures that you were showing earlier, Paul, of me with the inverted nipples and the man boobs, you know, I never did anything about that. And just over time, you know, it reverses. I think a lot of that started at puberty and hung on after puberty for me, for sure. So if you have a lifetime of obesity, like that's, you know, it's going to mess up your endocrine system. And once you correct it and over time, it certainly helps.
All right, next question I got here. It's from our friend Gamboni Law, or is it Gambone? Gamboni, I would assume. Any thoughts on apple cider vinegar pre-cheat meal or any pre-cheat meal hacks if the calories are controlled? Do you still avoid certain foods?
Apple cider vinegar before a cheat meal is not going to hurt anything, but it's kind of like throwing water onto onto a waterfall. Like it's not going to make a huge difference. You know, it's going to help a little bit with blood sugar regulation, but not really, especially with a cheat meal. If you're avoiding certain foods because they don't sit well with you, I would still avoid those things on a cheat meal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, you know, so the way I look at it is two things. If you're trying to like avoid a big caloric surplus from the cheat meal, having your calories controlled is one thing. That's great. But like, you can use Orlistat. Sometimes if I know I'm going to have a high fat meal, that makes it so I don't absorb all of that dietary fat. And I think you had mentioned it in the chat, like a GDA, some sort of glucose disposal agent. So maybe you can absorb the carbs a little more efficiently. But yeah, definitely avoid things. I tell all my clients all the time, we give you a cheat meal, we know that there's certain foods that you don't want to have that's going to ruin your digestion for tomorrow or the next day and throw your diet off down the chain. So if pizza and ice cream and dairy throw you off, that shouldn't be part of your cheat meal. Go with a different selection that you'll be happy with, would be my suggestion.
Dave, are you telling me I shouldn't eat a whole pizza?
Yes, Paul.
Follow it up by dairies.
Well, it's like that high fat content. Like it doesn't matter what it is, maybe not pizza, but if you have abnormally huge amount of fat content in one sitting, you're going to get thrown off if you're not used to it. And that's going to ruin tomorrow's diet half the day, if not most of the day. And you're going to regret it. Every client always says in check-in, I had a cheat meal. I regretted my decision of such and such thing. And they learned their lesson the hard way.
Oh man, it's always the fat salt combo that gets you, man. That's the one that really gets you, man. And then you're fucking bloated up for like 2 or 3 days, and your digestion's always is all thrown off. And what's funny is what I'll see, and this at least me, but like if I have a really heavy cheat meal, then I don't want to eat the next day.
Yeah.
And I end up not eating what I'm supposed to be eating, and then it just like throws everything out of fucking whack. That's another thing too, like with the cheat meals, like I get guys all the time that think they can make up for it by like not eating and doing a bunch of extra cardio. That just does not
like
work.
The worst thing to do.
Yeah, it's like the worst thing to do. You just get yourself in a cycle of disordered eating. If you fuck up, just get back on plan.
Yeah.
Yep. So I tell people, like, there's always the next meal, you know, like one meal, just get right on with life. The other thing too, you know, if you are planning to have, and you know you're having a heavier meal, like what I do if I'm programming a diet, I just make sure that the fat content prior, like the whole day, you know, the day before, whatever meal that's going to be, is very, very low, and that the protein is high, you know, so that you know at least you've met your protein requirement for the day, your fats have been low. Make sure you really hydrate well, and then just move on. Like the next day, eat your normal breakfast, do your cardio if you're supposed to, like just move on.
Yeah.
Yep. Just get back on track. I do know there's certain things. Generally what I tell people, I actually have a video up how to eat a productive cheat meal. I have it somewhere buried in maybe I need to redo it at some point, but like kind of my rule of thumb is just keep it, you know, if you want to go have some junk, that's fine once in a while, but for the most part, just eat an unmeasured meal of like the same shit that you normally eat. like I may go, like if I go out for a cheat meal, I'll go to Texas Roadhouse and get a steak and a potato and a salad, and it's going to be generally the same shit I normally eat. I'm just not weighing and measuring it. There's a little more fat in it because, you know, the way they cook everything, and that's fine. That's not going to destroy you. Going out and burying a whole pizza in a pint of Ben & Jerry's, which was my protocol in my 30s, doesn't work too well.
I guess if you cheat to that degree, you're not really planning it. I would say, like, you know, if you're planning a productive cheat, one that is going to work for you, that won't prevent you from wanting to eat for the next day or digesting well for the next day afterwards. Like nobody's like planning like I'm going to eat a large pizza and like ice cream until I want to die. Like,
Yeah.
So in those cases, it's not
Speak
like
for you, Colin.
Well, you know, everybody
I'm the
does that
victim
like
here.
in
These things just
contest
happen to me,
prep,
but
right?
I'm just saying, like, you know, like any pre-cheat hacks or anything that you might take, like you don't really need it for your productive cheat because, like Paul said, you just eating more of what you should be eating. That's a good cheat. If you have a bad cheat, like you're not going to be like, okay, well, before I really fuck shit up, I'm going to take this ox pie. I mean, maybe you are if you're celebrating like a big birthday, but then you know,
Sure.
are you training for a show at this point, or
Did you
like,
see Vigorous Steve at the Olympia?
Vigorous Steve is exactly who I have in mind. If y'all can figure it out as well as Vigorous Steve can do, you know, like he's got a pharmacopoeia set out in front of him before he goes out to Cheesecake Factory, by all means. But we're not all Vigorous Steve.
Steve carries his fanny pack with him. That's got all the tools in it.
He's got a chemical for
I
every
watched
occasion.
I watched the video he did on his protocol for doing that. It's pretty funny, like all the stuff he takes. I'm like, man, that's a lot of preparation for a cheat weekend. But you know, in prep, you know, everybody always gets those like crazy food cravings at the end, and then they spend like the last month of their prep planning their cheat meal and have cookies ordered and all that other stuff. And I was taking the retatrutide, so I didn't have that food obsession like through this whole thing. And I dropped the Retta like the last week, 5 days or so. I just didn't want to have any potential welting or anything go wrong with that. And I didn't really think about food till like 2 days before the show. I'm like, look, I didn't get any cookies. I don't have anything planned. You know, I usually get my PDX cookie company cookies and
No,
so
if any
it was
of you
all
want cookies, don't order them from anyone but me.
Yeah, there's some guys in here that are saying like they don't see the point in the cheat meal. Like I get it, but I'm a foodie. I love good food, and once in a while, it's nice just to go out with your significant other or friends and have a good meal. I enjoy that, and one meal is not going to destroy all your progress for the week. If you're making a regular habit of it, then yeah. But like just on contest prep, it's a little different. But even on contest prep, I usually do one cheat meal a week, and then till like the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I cut it out.
Yeah,
I mean, we had cheat meals programmed in with you, Mike, all the way through up until the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks that I actually had the last cheat meal. But and I learned this from you. It's like it's pretty satisfying to just make some spaghetti at home with lean beef, or make some cheeseburgers at home with lean beef and fat-free cheese, or reduced fat mayonnaise, and things like that. And that's satisfying. It doesn't screw up your digestion. You don't feel like it's a cheat meal you have to recover from, but you feel like you got a little something. And you know, someone was talking about cereal. Man, I love cereal. The bowl of rice checks with some bananas every once in a while.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can keep the scale in the drawer for that meal if you're responsible. You know, in an ideal world, I try to have off the bat a conversation with all my clients about the cheat meal of let's find what cheat meal is productive, like Colin says, for you. You know, so for Paul, that's just going and getting an unchecked steak with a potato. For me, it's like, you know, I can have X amount of sushi rolls. I'm going to be able to still eat tomorrow, use it properly. That's still fuel to me, and I'm happy. So if I can pinpoint 2 or 3 options with each client, when I give them the cheat meal, they know which one they're picking from. I know they're not going to be thrown off for tomorrow. So that's definitely one hack. So you can have, as they say, your cake and eat it too. You can have your cheat and be productive.
Cake.
And be satisfied, because
I've been doing.
So you're saying I can have cake? That's what
Sure.
I got out of that. I paraphrasing.
You're close.
Okay.
I've been doing this mentorship with AJ Sims, and I need to get him on sometimes. But he has people go he tells them just to make pancakes and egg beaters, and he's like, you know, you can kind of go wild with the pancakes and the syrup, and you know, have a higher carb meal, and it's pretty low fat, and that's on contest prep. He said that's what he'll have people do. And he goes, and that's, you know, people are in love with the pancakes on contest prep.
Yeah.
Ninja
Creamy.
So many pancakes you can eat. Like
I'm a pretty talented pancake eater.
But by the time you're done eating your pancakes, you're fucking sick of pancakes. Am I right?
Dude, I think about it Mike post show. I wondered why my A1C got up to 10 point whatever. And then I was going to IHOP or Silver Diner, and I was ordering 2 entrees for dinner. I was getting the omelet with the potatoes, and then I would get the large stack of pancakes and dumping the full sugar syrup over it. Oh, as a diabetic, I do not endorse this behavior.
What a great leg day prep meal, though.
Yeah.
No, in my defense, I would get the egg white omelet. So I'm just saying.
Just quickly, I did, as Lucas said it in here, the Ninja Creamy. Jackie and I ordered the new Ninja Creamy. Amy,
Ooh, the soft serve.
Yeah.
Have you used it yet?
Well, we ordered it last night. It was our 15-year anniversary, so we said, why don't we? We didn't get each 15 years. We're like, we're not going to buy each other stuff, but we were looking online and we saw it, and I said, how about we split this? So we both paid for half, and so it's the Ninja Creamy, and then you can make your ice cream hard the way typically, or you can put it through another whip and do it like a soft serve. So you can do all protein. Like I put graham crackers sometimes in it and all that shit. It's phenomenal. You got to get yours out of the garage, Paul.
It's still in the box. How many? By the way, how many couples do you know that buy themselves a Ninja Creamy for their anniversary?
I mean, that's love right there. That's swole love.
It was ideal.
I was thinking they keep their finances separate. It must be a happy marriage.
Yeah, works good. Sometimes she has much better months than me. That's for sure. We do all right.
There was a question here, sort of related to, or there's 2 more diet questions. I like the diet questions. Those are my favorite. Cade Drummond. I'm slaughtering all the names today. Dyslexia is in full force. Hey, Paul, what do you and Justin do with clients for deload, specifically with the diet and training, say on a mass phase? Usually, I don't know, let me ask you, Dave, but usually when I have people do deloads in the off season, if they're taking a break, I'm usually doing 2 high days a week. I'll pull them down to 1. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if body composition's in question, I'll even have them skip the high day altogether on a deload week. If they're taking off the gym completely, then I won't have them do the high day. But with that's the great thing with the carb cycling diet. It's sort of self-regulating. Yeah. Because if you're not in the gym, you're doing a low day, which should be, if the diet is structured correctly, is a slight deficit. The medium days are in the off season are usually either isocaloric or a slight surplus, and then your high days are your surplus days. So you can use the high days as sort of a wild card. You can yank those out if your energy output is lower, if there's no reason to have them in place. So that's kind of how I deal with it. As far as the workout routine, usually what I have people, like in my actual workout structure, not that I follow this, but I have a deload programmed in every 5th or 6th week. And usually what I'll do is pull the weight back by about a third and keep the sets and stuff pretty similar. Pull the sets down sometimes. It just depends. I did do programmed in deloads on contest prep. I did 3 of them on contest prep just to keep myself fresh. But I am terrible in the off season. Colin knows. I just train. Yeah. Just to show up at the gym and train.
The deloads were programmed in by nature.
Yeah, like shoulder surgery,
finger infection, COVID.
Finger infection, COVID. Yeah, those are my deloads.
Your body's way of telling you to slow down a little bit.
When my body breaks, that's when I take a deload.
Yeah. I do pretty much the similar approach to you. Each person's different. Some people, there's a good amount of people I can say just run the same diet, but your routine, your goal is to recover and stay in routine. So I still like you going to the gym, pulling your intensity and the factor of load down to maybe half or 2/3, like you say, and just stay in routine. But to the other people that maybe body composition is a little questionable, or we're at the tail end of a growth scenario, I'll pull 1 high day. But yeah, same thing. I just try to get your load a little bit down in the sense of how much you're lifting, and just stay in routine, go a little higher rep, and we can still utilize that food and freshen up for a week. But it's funny, also, like I do tell people, sometimes deloads are different. Like I listen to your biofeedback. It might not be exactly week 6 or week 7 you're ready for a deload, but when you know it, you know it. It's kind of like, it's a weird analogy, but it's like, I tell people, it's like going to the bathroom. When you have to go, you know it's time. And when you need a deload, you just know it's time. Like sometimes
I think-
your body just talks to you.
I think I heard Broderick Chavez say something similar. What did he say? He said it's like toilet paper, you know when you need it. I've tried to get Broderick on a couple times. I've reached out to him and he always tells me no. Like I said, he doesn't want to get wrapped up in any of the social media drama. I love the guy. I'd love to get him on.
I will mention one thing that I think people overlook on a deload scenario is when you're looking at their logs of progression, and let's say from week 1 of a training block to that deload week 6, they're progressing, and then they tell me they don't need a deload. Like their biofeedback is that they're all right, they're still recovering, but that progression tapers off and it just stays the same. So week 6, week 7, they're not progressing. Well, they're just self-regulating their output and they're not progressing any longer. That's where their brain's taking over and just not allowing them to take a deload, and then their progression stays the same. They're not making any progress. That's when I see that, I'll say we're going to force a deload anyways, or just return back to week 1 and go from there.
When I was talking to Dr. Mike, he made a good point. He said the whole point of the deload is to prevent yourself from getting overextended. You don't take the deload when you're overextended. You take it to prevent it. If you're overextended, it's too late.
Yeah, try to be early on it.
Yeah.
Shift before the red line.
Yeah, which I'm terrible at. I only know one way to go, and that's 120%. All right, I got to do this one real quick, and then I got to hop. I got a call coming up. Last question, DP. Due to the rising cost of beef, can it be completely eliminated and just eat chicken if the macros and calories are in check, or should beef still be incorporated in lower amounts? No rule said you have to eat beef.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see why you can't just use chicken primarily. I mean, obviously, beef has a little bit of a better amino acid profile in general, like ounce per ounce. But
got creatine and iron. I haven't seen. This is a new thing for me. I have seen so many dudes lately on blood panels that are anemic. Like it's just been a rash of guys that are anemic. And I think what it is, this is my guess, and this, a lot of, guys aren't eating beef. That's part of it. But I think dudes are going and donating blood too much.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually the comment I put in the comment section on this one was if for menstruating women, I do like keeping in some red meat, but there again, it's not necessary, but it is helpful, especially if you are losing some blood to kind of help build it back up in a natural way.
Well, I would suggest too, if you make a change like that, if you're eating lots of beef now and you stop and switch to all chicken, like take another look at your micronutrient intake and make sure that you're not losing anything.
I will say this: if you're a guy that struggles with high hemoglobin, red blood cell count, and hematocrit, a lot of times I find those are the dudes that are eating a shit ton of red meat.
Mhm.
You pull that back down, and then the hemoglobin and hematocrit come back down because you probably have way too much iron. Would be my guess. I don't know.
Now, Amy, is for women, is that just the iron content throughout the diet? As simple as that?
Yeah, and also just, I mean, like you mentioned, there's with grass-fed beef, I mean, you're getting so much more than just protein. I mean, you're also getting a lot of creatine and choline and other omegas through grass-fed meat. So it's just a great, very nutrient-dense source of a lot of things especially for menstruating women, especially for iron. And a lot of women don't eat red meat, like they avoid it. And again, they're anemic or they're tired all the time. Like adding in some red meat, I think a lot of them are surprised by how much they enjoy it. And I am a huge fan of red meat. So
Sure.
It's also another great one. I like to encourage people to eat, at least a portion of their food raw, and like steak tartare and other things. You can have a raw preparation of meat safely done is also really nice especially an option for dining out. It's a great one to eat as a good macro friendly meal out, doing some tartare.
When he mentions cost being part of that decision too, and it's pro tip on the beef, it's like find your local butcher shop because beef is generally their specialty. And I go and have my 96% like custom ground at this little meat shop here in town, and every town has one. And it actually costs me $1 less per pound than walking into Safeway and paying $9 a pound for their beef.
I didn't tell you guys about my beef horror story this week. I have a big stand-up freezer in my garage, and I had probably about 50 pounds of meat in it. And my son comes home from school, and he's like, "Dad, something stinks in the garage."
No. Oh no!
and I went out and the freezer had died. And it was just,
Oh no.
I opened it up like just a crack, and it was like somebody punched me in the face with a dead body.
Ugh.
That sucks.
That has happened. Yeah, that has happened.
Lost all that meat. As I called the Got Junk people, and the guy comes out, he looks at it, he's like, bro, I got to charge you more for this. and I'm like, whatever, man. I'm like, I got one arm, so whatever you say, dude.
Yeah, duct tape that lid shut.
Just whatever it takes. So he charged me $100 extra, and then I gave each of the guys a 50 for tip.
I had stacked something on top of something, and it fell, and it's an upright freezer, and it knocked the door open. We're on vacation, and we get back
no.
like 2 weeks later. We're like, "What's that smell?" it was terrible.
Well, I was sad all that meat went bad, but yeah. Now I'm down a freezer. The freezer.
Well, I've got a long drive ahead of me still, guys. 7 hours. So
yep, I got to run.
Thanks for having me on.
Congratulations, Mike.
Congrats, Mike. You looked great. Proud of your hard work.
Yeah, good
All
work.
right, folks. We'll see you all next week. Thank you for all your support. We love each and every one of you, even the ones that are mean to us. Bye.